So the story behind both of these Bugattis is strange, but there's no real answer to any of the problems. So I guess that leaves me trying to diagnose and repair this myself.
Imagine receiving a phone call that seems too unbelievable to be real. At first, you would probably think someone was playing a joke. That is exactly the feeling many people imagine when they hear the story that famous Hollywood actor Keanu Reeves wanted YouTube car builder Mat Armstrong to restore one of his beloved cars. Whether you know Mat Armstrong from his exciting rebuild videos, or you know Keanu Reeves from blockbuster movies like The Matrix and John Wick, seeing these two names connected immediately grabs your attention. They come from completely different worlds. One is known for making hit films, while the other became famous by rebuilding damaged cars inside his workshop and sharing every success and failure with millions of viewers online. That surprising connection is what makes this story so interesting. Mat Armstrong has built a reputation by taking cars that most people believe are beyond saving and bringing them back to life. His projects are never easy. He buys vehicles with serious accident damage, missing parts, and expensive mechanical problems. Instead of hiding the difficult moments, he films every step, including the mistakes and unexpected setbacks. His honest approach has earned him millions of loyal subscribers who enjoy watching real challenges instead of perfect results. Keanu Reeves, on the other hand, is known around the world as one of Hollywood's most respected actors. While many people admire him for his acting, others admire him because of his humble personality and genuine love for cars and motorcycles. Unlike many celebrities who buy expensive vehicles simply to show off their wealth, Keanu has always treated his cars as something personal. Every vehicle has a story, a memory, and a special place in his life. So when rumors began spreading that Mat Armstrong had been trusted with restoring one of Keanu's treasure cars, fans from both communities became curious. Could a self-taught mechanic from England really earn the trust of one of the world's biggest movie stars? That simple question is what turns a story from an ordinary car restoration into something much bigger. It becomes a story about reputation, passion, trust, and years of hard work finally leading to an opportunity that most people could only dream about. To understand why this story captured so much attention, it is important to know how Mat Armstrong built his career. Unlike many professional mechanics who learn their skills through years of formal training, Mat's journey followed a very different path. Growing up in Leicester, England, he spent much of his childhood around cars because his father owned a garage. Watching repairs every day sparked his interest in engines, tools, and problem-solving from a young age. However, cars were not his first dream. As a teenager, Mat focused on becoming a professional BMX rider. He dedicated years to training and competing, hoping to build a successful career in the sport he loved. Unfortunately, injuries forced him to step away from competitive riding earlier than expected. For many people, that would have been the end of their biggest dream. But for Mat, it became the beginning of a completely new one. Instead of giving up, he turned his attention toward repairing damaged cars. His first major project was rebuilding his girlfriend's crashed Audi TT, a car that many people believed was too badly damaged to save. Rather than quietly fixing it inside a garage, Mat decided to record the entire process and upload the videos to YouTube. Viewers quickly noticed something different about his content. He did not pretend to know everything. When he faced a problem, he admitted it. When a repair failed, he showed it. When he finally solved a difficult challenge, viewers celebrated with him because they had experienced every step of the journey. This honesty became the foundation of his channel. As the years passed, each project became more difficult than the last. Mat rebuilt luxury cars from famous brands like Ferrari, Lamborghini, Rolls-Royce, Bentley, Aston Martin, and even Bugatti. Every successful rebuild increased his reputation, proving that determination, patience, and a willingness to learn could sometimes matter more than formal qualifications. Millions of people subscribed because they enjoyed watching someone take on challenges that seemed impossible. His videos were no longer just about fixing cars. They became stories about solving problems, overcoming setbacks, and refusing to quit, no matter how difficult the task became. That growing reputation eventually made people wonder just how far his name had traveled beyond the YouTube community. While Mat Armstrong was becoming one of YouTube's biggest automotive creators, Keanu Reeves had already earned worldwide respect for a completely different reason. Most people recognize him as the star of blockbuster movies like The Matrix and John Wick. But those who follow his life more closely know that he has another great passion besides acting. He genuinely loves cars and motorcycles. Unlike many celebrities who fill their garages with expensive vehicles simply to show their success, Keanu has always chosen cars that mean something to him personally. He has often spoken about the memories connected to certain vehicles and how driving gives him a sense of freedom. One of his earliest cars was an old Volvo that he cared about deeply, even though it was far from being a luxury vehicle. Over the years, his collection grew to include some of the world's most desirable sports cars, along with motorcycles that reflected his love for engineering and performance. His passion became so serious that he even co-founded Arch Motorcycle, a company that builds custom motorcycles designed with great attention to detail and quality. This showed that Keanu was not simply buying expensive machines. He truly appreciated the craftsmanship behind them. That is one reason many people believe he would be extremely careful when choosing someone to work on one of his treasured vehicles. A person like Keanu has the resources to send a car to almost any specialist in the world. Famous restoration shops, factory experts, and highly experienced mechanics would all be willing to take on such a project. Because of that, the idea that a YouTube creator from England could earn his trust became such an exciting topic among fans. It suggested that reputation built through honesty and skill could sometimes matter more than fancy buildings, expensive advertising, or famous company names. Whether every detail of the story is exactly as it has been shared online or not, the idea itself highlights something important. True craftsmanship earns respect. People who consistently deliver quality work often receive opportunities that seem impossible at first. Mat Armstrong has spent years proving his abilities one project at a time, and if someone like Keanu Reeves noticed that dedication, it would be a powerful reminder that hard work has a way of reaching places you never expected. As Mat Armstrong's reputation continued to grow, his workshop became the place where impossible projects seemed possible again. Every new rebuild pushed his skills to another level. Cars that had been declared total losses by insurance companies, vehicles with severe crash damage, and rare supercars that many experts believed could never return to road all found their way into his garage. His audience loved watching these difficult projects because they never felt fake. Mat did not hide the long hours, expensive mistakes, or frustrating moments when nothing seemed to work. Instead, he invited viewers into the entire process, making them feel like they were solving each problem alongside him. This honest style helped him build a level of trust that many online creators struggle to achieve. Over time, his videos attracted attention from car manufacturers, professional mechanics, racing fans, and even well-known celebrities. Some famous owners contacted him for advice, while others followed his work simply because they admired his determination. By this stage, Mat already rebuilt luxury vehicles worth hundreds of thousands, and sometimes even millions of dollars. Each successful project made people wonder what challenge he would tackle next. Then came the story that caught everyone's attention. Reports began spreading that Keanu Reeves wanted Mat to restore one of his favorite classic Porsche 911s. It was not the newest model or the most expensive car in his collection. Instead, it was believed to be a car with deep personal meaning, one that carried years of memories rather than simply a high price tag. That detail made the story even more emotional. Restoring a valuable car is one thing, but restoring a car that represents someone's history is completely different. Every scratch, every worn part, and every mechanical problem tells part of that vehicle's journey. A restorer must decide what should remain as part of the car's character, and what should be repaired to keep it safe and reliable. If the reports were true, Mat would not only be rebuilding an old Porsche, he would be protecting memories that could never be replaced. That kind of responsibility creates pressure that goes far beyond turning wrenches or replacing broken parts. It requires patience, respect for the vehicle's history, and the confidence to make difficult decisions while knowing that every choice matters. When a classic Porsche finally arrived at the workshop, the excitement was quickly replaced by careful inspection. At first glance, the car looked old but complete. However, experienced mechanics know that the biggest problems are often hidden beneath the surface. A vehicle can appear fine from the outside, while serious issues are waiting underneath. That is why Matt and his team never rushed into taking things apart. They followed the same careful process they use on every project, checking the body, suspension, engine, electrical system, and every small component that could affect the car's performance. As the inspection continued, more problems began to appear. Small areas of rust were discovered in places that were difficult to see. The suspension had worn parts that affected how the car would handle on the road. Some electrical components were no longer working properly, creating faults that would require hours of patient troubleshooting. None of these problems were impossible to solve, but together they showed that this restoration would demand much more time and attention than anyone first expected. For Matt, this was nothing new. His previous project had taught him that every damaged car hides surprises, and successful restorations depend on solving one problem at a time instead of becoming overwhelmed by the entire job. What made this project different was the emotional pressure surrounding it. If the story was true, this was not simply another customer's vehicle. It belonged to someone admired by millions of people around the world. That thought alone would make almost any mechanic feel nervous. Every repair had to be completed to the highest standard because shortcuts were never an option. The goal was not to make the Porsche look brand new or cover every sign of its age with shiny paint and modern parts. Instead, the challenge was to preserve the car's original character while making it drive safely and reliably once again. That balance is one of the hardest parts of restoring a classic automobile. A great restoration respects the vehicle's history instead of erasing it. Every decision must honor the past while preparing the car for many more years on the road. As the work moved forward, it became clear that patience, skill, and attention to detail would determine whether this project became another success or one of the greatest challenges Mat Armstrong had ever faced. As the restoration moved deeper into the workshop, every repaired part revealed another challenge waiting underneath. That is often the reality of restoring an older sports car. Once one problem is fixed, another hidden issue appears, demanding more time, more patience, and more careful planning. Mat Armstrong and his team understood this better than anyone because they had faced similar situations on many previous projects. Instead of becoming frustrated, they approached each new problem as another puzzle to solve. Rusted sections were cleaned and treated before they could spread further. Worn suspension parts were either repaired or replaced to make sure the Porsche would handle exactly as it should. Every bolt, seal, and bracket was inspected because even the smallest overlooked part could create trouble later. The electrical system proved to be one of the biggest tests. Older cars often develop wiring faults that appear one moment and disappear the next, making them extremely difficult to diagnose. A loose connection, a damaged wire, or an aging electrical component can waste hours before the real cause is finally discovered. Rather than rushing through the process, the team carefully checked each system until everything worked correctly. At the same time, attention turned toward the appearance of the car. The goal was never make it look like a brand new showroom model. Instead, the focus was on preserving its identity. A classic Porsche carries decades of history, and many collectors believe that history should remain visible. Small details such as the paint finish, interior materials, and original design features all help tell the story of the car's life. A restoration that removes every sign of age can sometimes take away the character that made the vehicle special in the first place. That is why experienced restorers often aim for a result that looks natural rather than perfect. Every improvement should blend so smoothly that it feels as though the car has always been that way. This invisible craftsmanship is much harder than simply replacing everything with new parts. It demands knowledge, restraint, and deep respect for the original engineering. By this stage of the project, it was clear that success would not be measured by how shiny the Porsche looked, but by whether it could drive, feel, and perform the way it was originally meant to many years ago. After weeks of careful work, the restoration finally reached a stage that every mechanic looks forward to the most. The damaged parts have been repaired, the electrical problems have been solved, and every major system had been checked more than once. Now came the moment that would reveal whether all the hard work had been worth it. Starting an engine after a complete restoration is never just a simple turn of the key. It is a moment filled with excitement, nervousness, and hope because no one can be completely certain what will happen. Even after hundreds of hours of careful work, one small mistake or one hidden fault can stop everything. Mat Armstrong has experienced this feeling many times during his career, and his viewers know that these first starts often become the most emotional moments in his videos. As the team gathered around the Porsche, every person in the workshop became quiet. The key was turned, and after a brief pause, the engine came to life. Instead of rough noises or warning lights, the flat-six engine settled into a smooth and confident idle. That sound immediately told the experienced mechanics that the countless hours spent inspecting, repairing, and adjusting the car had paid off. However, the job was still not finished. A successful restoration is about much more than starting the engine. The real test begins when the car leaves the workshop and returns to the road. During the first test drive, every movement of the steering wheel, every gear change, every brake application, and every sound from the suspension must be carefully monitored. A classic Porsche is famous for its unique driving feel, and even small problems can change the entire experience. As the car moved along the road, everything seemed to work exactly as it should. The steering felt sharp, the suspension remained stable through corners, and the engine delivered its power smoothly. More importantly, the Porsche still felt like an authentic classic rather than a modern car pretending to be old. That balance is what every great restoration hopes to achieve. It is not about making history disappear. It is about preserving that history while giving the car a new opportunity to be enjoyed for many more years. For Mat and his team, this successful test drive represented far more than another completed project. It was proof that patience, experience, and attention to detail can bring even the most challenging machines back to life. Once the restoration was complete, the story became much bigger than a single rebuilt Porsche. It became a symbol of how the automotive world has changed over the last few years. In the past, many people believed that only factory-approved workshops or famous restoration companies could be trusted with valuable classic cars. If a celebrity owned an expensive vehicle, most assumed it would always be sent to an official dealership or a specialist with decades of history. However, creators like Mat Armstrong have challenged that idea. Through years of sharing every success and every failure online, he has shown that skill, honesty, and determination can be just as important as a famous company name. His audience has watched him rebuild vehicles that many experts considered impossible to repair. From heavily damaged supercars to rare luxury models, he has repeatedly